Your vocabulary is quite good, but try using more collocations. For instance, instead of saying give me a sense of belonging, you could say provides a sense of sanctuary. For grammar, you made a small mistake saying almost of my time, which should be most of my time. Also, there seemed to be a word mix-up with marry, and the word unwind was pronounced as unwy. Here is a corrected, natural version of what you said. I spend most of my time in my bedroom, so I can say that it's my favorite room in the house. My bedroom provides a sense of sanctuary, so I can unwind there after a long, hard-working day. Now, here is a higher band sample answer based on your original idea. I would have to say my bedroom is the ultimate sanctuary in my home. It's a cozy corner where I can truly unwind after a demanding day, and it's filled with personal touches that make it feel uniquely mine. The serene atmosphere helps me clear my head and recharge my batteries effectively. Let's continue with another question from your list. Are there any things you don't like about your area?
This thing about something that I don't like in my hometown, I can say that is polluted, especially air polluted. Because do you know that I live in Hanoi, which is the capital of Vietnam? It means that in there is overcrowded, and in the roads, on the road, have many private vehicle, and it's this vehicle will emit many carbon dioxide and make the air, the environment world polluted.
Thank you for that description. Here is your feedback. For this answer, your estimated band score would be around 5.5 to 6.0. Regarding fluency and coherence, you did a good job connecting your ideas about traffic and pollution in Hanoi, but the sentence structure broke down at the end, making it hard to follow. For vocabulary, words like overcrowded and private vehicle are accurate, but try replacing air polluted with air pollution and use collocations like heavy traffic congestion. You made a few grammar mistakes, such as saying in there is overcrowded, which should be the city is overcrowded, and saying in the roads instead of on the roads. Additionally, there was a mispronunciation of polluted. Here is a corrected, natural version of what you said. To talk about something I don't like in my hometown, I can say that is pollution, especially air pollution. Since I live in Hanoi, which is the capital of Vietnam, the city is overcrowded, and on the roads there are many private vehicles that emit carbon dioxide and harm the environment. Now, here is a higher band sample answer for this question. Without a doubt, the most significant drawback of living in my area is the heavy traffic congestion, which leads to significant air pollution. With so many vehicles on the road, the air quality often suffers, and the daily commute can be quite stressful. Let's move on to another question. Did you learn much about science at school?
No, I don't learn any science at my university because I study at English language factory, so it means that I just focus on some subjects related to English and language, and maybe some about culture.
Thank you for that response. Here is your feedback. For this answer, I would estimate your band score at around a 5.5. Regarding fluency and coherence, the connection of ideas was present, but the structure was a bit repetitive in places, and you focused on university rather than school in general. Your vocabulary was relevant, but use more collocations. For example, instead of English language factory, you should say English language faculty. You made a grammar mistake by repeating no, I now, and by saying don't learn any science instead of didn't study much science. Also, faculty was pronounced as factory. Here is a corrected, natural version of what you said. No, I didn't study much science at my university because I'm in the English language faculty, so my focus is on language, literature, and culture subjects. Now let's move to a new topic. Do you like to go to parks?
Yes, of course. Near my house have parks. In there, I can do some exercise, and maybe I can chatting with my friends in there, and I feel that park is social plates can collect the make the bond of labor is more strengthened.
Thank you for your answer. Here is your feedback. For this answer, your estimated band score would be around 5.5. Regarding fluency and coherence, your ideas were generally clear, especially about exercising and meeting friends, but the sentence structure broke down at the end when describing the social bond. Your vocabulary was relevant, but use more collocations. Instead of bond of labor, you could say community bond or neighborhood connections. You made a few grammar mistakes, such as saying near my house have a park and can chatting, which should be corrected. Also, there was a slight mispronunciation of strengthened. Here is a corrected, natural version of what you said. Yes, of course, there's a park near my house where I can do some exercise and perhaps chat with friends. I also feel that a park is a social place that helps strengthen community bonds. Let's continue to the next question. Have you ever learned anything about space at school? I'll wait for you to share your thoughts.
In Vietnam, a developing country, to know that we have not money to study about the space, the star, so it's been that it's quite difficult to me to study about the space on the school.
Thank you for sharing your perspective. Here is your feedback. For this answer, your estimated band score would be around 5.0. Regarding fluency and coherence, your response was generally clear, but the sentence structure was a bit fragmented, and the connection between the economic situation and your personal school experience could be stronger. Your vocabulary was relevant, but you could use more collocations. For instance, instead of saying we have not money, you could say limited resources for space education. You made a grammar mistake by repeating in the school instead of at school. Also, quite difficult to me should be quite difficult for me. Here is a corrected, natural version of what you said. In Vietnam, as a developing country, we have limited resources for space education, so it was quite difficult for me to learn about space at school. Let's continue with another topic. Do you plan to create your own website?
No, I don't think so, because I'm just learning about language. So it means that IT or maybe create a website for me is so difficult. But in the future, if I have a chance, I will create a website that can help me plan and manage my time.
Thank you for your response. Here is your feedback. For this answer, your estimated band score would be around 5.5. Regarding fluency and coherence, your response was generally clear, but the sentence structure was a bit fragmented with some repetition and awkward conjunctions. Your vocabulary was relevant, but you could use more collocations. For instance, instead of saying create a website for me is so difficult, you could say web development is outside of my expertise. You made a grammar mistake by saying and she's learned and saying help me plans instead of help me plan. Pronunciation was good for the most part. Here is a corrected, natural version of what you said. No, I don't think so, because I only study languages, so web development is outside of my expertise. However, in the future, if I have the chance, I'd like to create a website that can help me plan and manage my time. Let's move to the next question. Is it easy to learn music?
I think yes, but just for some people have talent. It means that you have talent and you study music very easy. You just show yourself, but with some people don't have any good at the music, they maybe have some struggle.
Thank you for that thoughtful response. Here is your feedback. For this answer, I would estimate your band score at around a 5.5.